We begin tonight with a Vantage interview. Just a short while back, we met Ranil Wickremesinghe, the acting president of Sri Lanka. It's been a year since he took charge. Last year, Sri Lanka was gripped by turmoil. The country was bankrupt. There were shortages of all kinds, from food to fuel. Angry citizens took to the streets. They stormed the president's office. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was president then. He fled Sri Lanka. Ranil Wickremesinghe replaced him to fix things. Today, he told us about what the past year was like, whether his country is out of the economic crisis, if China is trying to exploit it, how he sees India's role and his relationship with Prime Minister Modi, and cricket, if Jay Shah is running Sri Lankan cricket. Like I said, it's an interview you don't want to miss. Here's a part of that conversation. President Wickremesinghe, welcome to Firstpost, sir.
Thank you.
How are you? How have you been?
Well, I must say I have survived.
You have. I met you in June last year, and that's when you'd just taken charge. So how has the last 1 year been for you?
Challenging, but nevertheless we've got through. I think government has established stability. We are handling the economic crisis. We virtually come to the last lap, where all the countries, the creditor nations have to now agree, and we are restructuring the economy. We started it. There's interest in Sri Lanka. Tourism is picking up.
This month, the Sri Lankan Supreme Court held the Rajapaksas responsible for the economic crisis, and I'm quoting from what the court said: their actions, omissions and conduct contributed to the crisis. Do you agree with the view?
Well, this is what the court has held.
But do you agree?
The crisis took place during their time.
But the court has not announced any punishment. Do you think they should face the consequences for their actions, or at the very least apologize?
No, the crisis took place during their time. If you take it as a sequence, from the time the crisis took place and the delay in going to the IMF, and then the resignation of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, when the opposition failed to take it over, and then there is again the crisis of July, when President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigned, and again the opposition was not willing to take any responsibility. It meant the whole system has broken down. So the whole politics of this country has been, as I would say, topsy-turvy. It's just been, there were a lot of irresponsible actions by everyone.
And yet
so I think you have to look into all that, not merely one part of it, how the system had collapsed.
You're saying the Rajapaksas alone are not to blame?
Rajapaksas have their share of responsibility.
Should they apologize for that?
I think they have done. Anyway, it's up for them. I think President Gotabaya had said something about this. Anyway, it's up for them. Then when they went off, what would have happened if no one took over the government?
Yeah.
It would have been worse. So it is basically the whole political system broke down because you are used to giving slogans, trying to keep people happy, and no one was prepared to take a hard decision.
You're governing with support from the Rajapaksas party. A few days ago, you also attended the birthday celebrations of Mahinda Rajapaksa. Coming back to the critics, they've called you, and I'm quoting, a surrogate of the Rajapaksas. What do you say to people like these? I
have always wished Mahinda Rajapaksa on his birthday, and he has wished me on my birthday. I'm not a surrogate for the Rajapaksas. Their party is split. One half is working with the SJB. Other half is with me.
This is a unique arrangement. Do you sometimes feel pressure from the party on certain
sometimes
issues?
They have their requirements, they come along. Other times they won't. So it's a sort of not a normal parliament.
Let's talk about the economy. How is the Sri Lankan economy doing now? Is it out of the woods yet?
It's not yet out of the woods. It is coming out of the woods, I would say.
Who is Sri Lanka's biggest creditor as of today?
Who do you think?
You tell me.
Huh?
I think it's China.
It's the international sovereign bonds. That's the biggest.
Bilateral creditor?
No, bilateral is China, but our biggest creditor is the private. The private creditors, they form the largest number.
And China is the biggest bilateral creditor.
It's a bilateral, yeah.
And yet China has refused to be included in debt restructuring. Why do you think they want to separate?
China has been in it separately. We negotiate with them separately. It has nothing to do with Sri Lanka or any other countries. They are not satisfied with the terms they are getting from the IMF and the World Bank. They feel that they should have a bigger role to play in the IMF. So they've decided to opt out of it, and they're going separately. It's making life more difficult for all of us who are in debt. But this is the reason. It's had nothing to do with that. It's something that has been sorted out by the big boys.
Do you believe that Beijing has been an honest broker during Sri Lanka's financial crisis?
We didn't have any difficulty dealing with them.
Do you think India would agree with this assessment? Because India has been trying to bring all the creditors on one platform and China refuses to join it.
Yes, we also suggested one platform. China refused to do it. It's our suggestion.
So they did make your life more difficult.
I mean, dealing with two groups was not easy. But then the outcome, I think, again, even if even in respect to other countries, this will happen. The message is that China is sending a message to the IMF and others. So it's up for them to sort it out.
China has also hinted at expanding the China-Myanmar economic corridor to include Sri Lanka. Is that something that you're keen on?
Well, yes, China-Myanmar economic corridor to Sri Lanka and from Sri Lanka to Africa.
Does Sri Lanka want to join it?
Well, the corridor is there, we'll get connected. There is no special program on that. But connectivity, yes, we are for connectivity. Also, we are for connectivity with the ports in Africa. So we will connect both the ports in Africa and the Myanmar ports. But what's the issue of Myanmar port?
Nothing. China wants to include you in one more project. I wanted to know if you welcome that.
It's not China. I mean, we are looking at getting integrated, and we feel that the African ports are going to be important. I mean, even India knows that.
And ships have been coming to Sri Lanka as well. Two ships came from China in the last 1 year to Sri Lanka.
But why are you asking me? I mean...
No. My question is that those two ships came and the US and India expressed concern, and experts said that they were spy ships. Is that a characterization you agree with?
First one we asked for evidence is a spy ship. There was no evidence. Second one we had allowed it. We allowed the ship to come, and they were in this area. It was not an issue at all. What is a spy ship is a big question mark. These are civilian ships, but if there are issues, if they are spy ships, we will not allow them to come in. But as far as exploration is concerned, we allow not only Chinese ships, but other ships. But no one highlights the fact that other ships also come to Sri Lanka. Each time a Chinese ship comes, we get a lot of publicity. But if a research ship comes from another country, we are ignored.
For example?
They come in. There's a French ship due.
So
we are going to now develop our own hydrography unit and get our own ships. Then we can do surveys around India and China both.
That sounds like a good plan. But in the meantime, would you welcome more such research ships from China, or would you want Beijing to stop sending them?
We will welcome any research ship. We have no problems at all, as long as it's for research.
Would you allow China to also dock a military ship in Sri Lanka?
We have always allowed. All ships, military ships from any country, they are all dock in Colombo.
So you're okay with that?
Well, they have all been doing. Indians, Chinese, Russians, Americans, everyone comes to Colombo.
India's role in Sri Lanka's economic crisis?
India helped us, certainly, with the money they gave us. No two questions about it. Especially Mrs. Sitaraman was very, very helpful to us. Prime Minister was open. Mr. Jaishankar was also focused on it.
You've been in leadership roles since the 1990s, and the India-Sri Lanka relationship has had its tough moments and good times. Do you think that the relationship is better now than it was some decades ago?
From 1977, I've been in politics. I first dealt with the government of Morarji Desai and Mr. Vajpayee. We got on very well. I had got to know Mr. Vajpayee in 1974, before he became a guest of the Indian government for some time. We got on. Then under Mrs. Gandhi, it was more strained. But I must say, Rajiv resolved the issues. And from there onwards, we had really good relationship with the country. Especially with Mr. Narasingha Rao. He and I were contemporaries in the education ministry, so I knew him well. And even after when he retired, I used to speak to him and get his advice on politics. We had Mr. Gujral, who again we knew, and Mr. Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh.
Do you share with the current Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi?
I have known him for a long time, when he was originally a chief minister. I know Mr. Modi from that time onwards.
You attended the inauguration ceremony of Mohammad Muizzu, the new president of the Maldives.
Yes.
And on the very same day, he asked India to withdraw troops from his country. What do you make of his India Out campaign?
No, the Indian troops leaving Maldives was a part of the manifesto of the present president. So, as usual, I presume when he made his first speech, he said he was going to fulfill his, I was listening to it, fulfill his requirement of promise to get foreign troops out of Maldives. I was not surprised that he said that, but that had been one of the main items on his campaign. I have not discussed that with him. This is my assessment of it.
Do you think this is the right policy decision?
Well, for them it is something on which he got elected. I didn't get elected on that.
No, I understand, but
So,
you're a veteran of strategic choices. You've seen South Asian politics.
Yeah, but they made the choice. But looking at the other way, I think India should not get too worried about it. I would say that you should focus more on strengthening our relationships with Maldives. That is the only view I have. India should not, because of this incident, abandon Maldives. I think Maldives needs their help, and that's what I understood from the discussions I had with the President, that he needs the help of India.
He said that to you, that he needs the help of India?
He said he needs the help of India.
But you did not advise him on this India Out policy?
No, I mean, he announced it before I met him.
What would you have told him otherwise?
I would have told him, do it slowly. He might still do it slowly. I mean, the fact that he is not going to get it and do it after discussion.
Is Jay Shah running Sri Lankan cricket?
No, Jay Shah doesn't run Sri Lankan cricket.
So why is he being dragged into it?
They think that Jay Shah is supporting the cricket board. But I spoke to Jay Shah. I felt sorry that his name had been dragged in. I apologize. And he said, my position, if there's whoever is the legal body, I will back. If this lot is the legal body, I will back them. If the other lot is the legal body, I will back them. If there's a third group that's the legal body, I back them. That's not decided by me. That's decided by ICC.
President Wickremesinghe, you're a man of books. And when your house came under attack last year, some of those books were also burnt, and you said that they were your biggest wealth. In these times of social media and hyper-polarization and hyper-connectivity, how do you view politics in times like these? Are these some of the trends that worry you, or do you think that you have to move with the times?
Some of it worries me. The social media, the attacks on people, most of it that's not true. The ability to rouse crowds, whether it's on religion or cricket or anything. I mean, we have to seriously rethink of it. But also, now it's becoming the politics of the 21st century, of the younger generation. Mm-hmm. It's quite different.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, as always, to talk to you, and for your patience and taking all the questions that we had.
Well, thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.